My name is Mike Glenn. My wife and I are residents of Midway. We reside at 738 Dutch Creek Court. My wife's family stretches back 6 generations in this valley. I'm currently serving as the chairman of the Heber Valley Community Arts Center Coalition, a community-based organization that, as you know, includes representatives of municipal government, arts organizations, and other community leaders. With this proposed zoning change, I spent an hour with Michael Hinkey, where he answered many of my questions and concerns. The coalition supports the recommendation from the Planning Commission to the City Council for rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today. I am Pat Vaughn, and I am speaking for my neighbors and friends in Swiss Farm Circle who could not be here today. I first want to thank our council members and our planning committee for what I hope is their time, their thought, their deliberation, and hopefully their prayers in making the right decisions. I also want to thank Stu, wherever he might be, for bringing to our attention that there is a tax loophole that is actually driving this decision. And I ask, why do we not know this, and why were decisions made prior to this that impacted us in 3 years? I want to thank each and every one of you for mobilizing today. I want to thank those who went on Facebook, who started petitions, who put out flyers. You are incredible. I simply want to say that if I wanted to live in a strip mall or an overdevelopment, something of high and density residence, I would have moved to Provo or Orem. I had the pleasure of going to South Jordan today. That was quite an experience, and if you would like to live there, I encourage you look there. The real estate is cheaper than it happens to be here. Now, I don't want to cheat anyone who is a landowner that is here. Everyone is due their right price for the right property. But there is a difference between organic growth and visionary growth and greed. And I think we need to be very careful in our city that greed is not compelling us. You talk about build it and they will come. Why don't you let them come and we will build it? We already have a restaurant that's turned into a funeral home. Sorry. We also have vacancies which exist that have lease notices that we can't rent out, that is commercial property. I have a couple more things that I want to say. Is it fair to reduce the density down Main Street to accommodate this particular zoning? I say no. And if we are already want to say that we are growing for cultural reasons. Sorry, Pat, I happen to love the arts. I was a dancer. Let's go to New York and not live here. I live here. I choose to live here. I ask each and every one of you that if an email is going to determine whether or not this is going to be voted in, get to your computer tonight and send your email now.
Your time is up. If you want to leave your information,
I would be glad to.
Thank
Bless
you.
you all for being here. This is awesome.
Please, thank you. All right.
Hi, my name is Leslie Miller, and I live at 165 East, 100 North of Midway, and that's a hard act to follow. A couple things. Michael, and let me just tell you, I served on the Park City Council in the early 90s. I'm familiar with zoning and planning and process, and I find this all very interesting. Community governance is an important part of our democracy, and this is really heartwarming to see. That being said, I feel a little bit like I'm at a disadvantage because I'm just getting the information about the C-4 zone today, and you're scheduled to possibly vote on it. I think that's a little bit unfair, and I think that in order to process all this information and to really have an opportunity to review some of the comments and implement them, unquestionably this should be postponed, a vote on the C-4. And it's not to say...
Please, let her finish. You're taking up her time.
I'm okay. and I just want to, so I urge the council to take a moment and just postpone this and take some of this information in. But more importantly, there's an opportunity here, and I think there's something that's being missed. Your very opening statement, Michael, was, oh, this is property where we look up to Memorial Hill. That's a view corridor, and there's nothing in this that's really talking about the view corridor or allowing enough boundary around Memorial Hill, which a lot of people view as sacred, to accommodate what that place is. That's a community gathering place. People walk there, they've got their dogs there. That's a special place, and that could be the center of your community, even if it's a commercial district. I think you really need to spend some more time there. And I agree with the gentleman who spoke earlier, 50-50. You want density? 50% open space, 50% for residential and or commercial. And by the way, 52 feet in the center of 20 acres. That's disproportionate. That's like crazy thinking in my view. Park City now is a canyon on Main Street. And you go to little cute communities in western towns all over Montana, Utah, two stories, 3 stories. That's their height limitation. It works, it feels good, and it keeps the character of this community. So thanks for your
Thank you. If you had any information you wanted to leave with us, okay, thank you for your comments.
Micky Oksner, 1292 Pine Canyon Way, Midway. I support the Swiss Mountain tourism zoning being considered here tonight, even take credit for fostering the idea. But I also share the blame for much of the opposition that you're hearing here this evening. I was the chairman of the Planning Commission through the general plan that we did last year. I'm proud of that document. That was a lot of effort. I can't tell you how much open space and views and the things that we're discussing tonight were considered by everybody involved, and I think the document that came out was one that represents that thinking. Having said that, the original idea concept was based on Riverwood Plaza, which we saw that picture of. Single-story retail, dining, outdoor patios throughout, clear views of the mountains in the background, and the vision is bike riders passing through town specifically to enjoy a midway pit stop. It was to attract and support tourism in the C-4 village, as well as Soldier Hollow, golf courses, state park. It's a visitor's magnet, and those of us who attended the Roger Brooks meetings of last year, as well as just a few months ago, he can tell you what a gold mine we live in here. But the architecture and layout should be Lauterbrunnen or Sister City. A few more points. I think you can tear this thing up that I gave you because everything else has been covered. I'd like to reiterate the open space issue. One of my ideas that I've said more than once is a 2 or 3 acre pasture with a couple of black and white cows with bells. Kohler's dairy right next door selling ice cream and cheese, that kind of thing. Also the Charlie Mar example. They have a restaurant, a tavern, and a pastry right next door to each other. Single story, that kind of boutique thing. As for big box, I'd like to address 2 things. One is the 30 units, is that the retail underneath and house over, is that considered 2 units or 1?
Yeah, so the 30 units per acre, each unit is a residential unit, so it really has nothing to do with the commercial.
Okay, so if you have 1,500 foot units, 30 acres would take up a whole acre, not counting halls and stairs. So that definitely should be off the table. The second, as usual, I forget the second point. 1 acre minimum in the TDR open space. Darn it, I lost my train of thought and I should.
And your time's up, Mickey.
Perfect timing.
Okay, if you want to leave anything, oh, you left me one already.
Yeah, so do I.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Cortland Nelson, 369 West, 100 North of Midway. Appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I'm speaking in favor of the switch to the C4. Mickey mentioned the training session that some of us went to in tourism, but it feels like to me this falls clearly in line with that in terms of the opportunities to congregate those businesses and to pull them together at the east end of town. It also makes some sense for what I think needs to be done with what we are doing with our road enhancements, our signage, and making ourselves more of a destination as people pass through the valley. Further, I think that an important juncture here that we approve the C4 and then take the time, as everybody is talking about, to really get down to some details. You have the architectural committee. There are no reasons there can't be more meetings about a number of the specifics. I don't have a dog in that hunt as a neighbor, but I think it's important that you commit to other opportunities for people to come forward and to review that. That's really the only way we can do that. If we're not going to go down this road, then I suspect we're going to be having a meeting with you all about increasing our taxes so we can buy that land so that we can protect it for all the reasons that people are talking about. That seems like a big leap to me, and I think there's some steps between us in doing that. Further, in my mind, this balances out the wonderful, frantic time of Swiss days. We have a place that's going to bring in people on a very steady basis year-round, and it will help with the tax base that all of you who've talked about it. We've been through these committees over the last year. I had a conversation with you, Mayor, 3-4 months ago about the need for not more special events, but the need for more Sunday to Friday kind of businesses that is routine and regular and flat in terms of the benefits, and I think this achieves that. I also like the tie from what we're doing as a community with the state parks and the businesses that are there, this square, the retail that's down Main Street that's talked about in the document that you have mentioned before, and then the final piece would be this zone down at the other end. And I think that makes lots of sense for smart people to do that.
Time's up, Cortland.
And I'll send you my notes.
Okay, leave me your notes. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Jeff Drury. I'm short, and I'm going to talk fast. I live at 116 South, 550 East, and I've lived in Midway for 40 years. I look great for my age. I love Midway. I've lived here my entire life. I'm 100 yards from my mom, who's lived here her life. That's 50 yards from my grandma's house. I'm related to half you damn people. I love this town. I want to start by thanking the city planner and the staff. They've been extremely transparent and helpful, and they're doing a fantastic job. And I really appreciate their efforts and their willingness to help the town. Midway's a destination already. The development that's being proposed is not in the character of our town. My major concerns are around density and financial analysis of the plan for this development. The density not only does not match what belongs in Midway, it does not match what belongs in West Valley or Salt Lake. It is out of character for our town. From a financial standpoint, I don't think we've done any financial analysis on how this will benefit, impact, or hinder the community. We can't say that the commercial will come in and help our city. It takes a long time to develop a commercial tax base, and we'd have to have over $42.5 million to make up the $425,000 that we're trying to bring up in our tax budget. This is a fiscally conservative community. That's evidenced by the vote in the recent election. We want fiscal conservatism, and we want responsibility in our government to ensure that we're not going to incur extra burden from 480 residences that will impact our school. That may be beneficial for the city's tax base, but it will impact our county's tax base. It will increase our school taxes, which will be a detriment to all of us. We cannot rob from Peter to pay Paul. So I would encourage you not to pass this. I also want to make one quick correction on the public comment. Mayor Bonner, in your office, delivered at 2 p.m. today, was a petition signed by over 400 people. It was 20 pages of signatures and comments. Since it was printed at 11 a.m., an additional 28 people have signed that petition. So there is a great amount of comment against this as it exists right now. And I also want to make the point that I'm not against development, I'm not against zoning. We need to change what we have now to fit the environment. The C2, C4 zone, that's not enough. Let's change them both to fit Midway.
Thank you, Jeff.
No clapping.
Thank you.
Okay. So like the previous speaker with 40 years, I've been here for about 8 weeks. However, I'm a veteran. And I've come from a family of structural engineers, and I have tremendous concern about this ordinance. And I'm going to try to give it to you here straight shooting. I moved here with my wife, Audrey. We looked around at a few other states, Colorado, New Mexico, Montana. We could find nothing with the flavor, the nature, the access to anything that you want. This is a special place. And at times, when you're in a particular spot for a long time, you can forget that. I come from Washington State, very close to Leavenworth, Washington. I know there's been discussion about that. I first went to Leavenworth in 1972 as a small kid. I've been there very recently. It hasn't changed much. They're very, very strict about their town and flavor. They don't want it to become Seattle or Bellevue. Other key point over the last 8 weeks, I had 3 people from Park City that have moved here. I see them on the trails when I walk. I asked them, why did you leave? It's congested. The people don't say hello. I like it here better. That's a message. So, I've been here 8 weeks. I love this town. I'm going to die here. Hopefully I can die in that cemetery. But please, don't roll things through. Listen to the community. And I've talked to a lot of people over the last week since seeing this document posted. This is a really very, very unique town. Don't wreck it.
Thank you.
Sir, I didn't get your name. Could you state your name, please?
Peter Holler, Hollchr.
Howdy, I'm Tim Gaylor, Galer, and we live over in Nashville. And I want to thank the staff for the year-plus work they did, including Mickey and his help. I understand this is an interesting balance of things that are trying to be done, make the community more attractive, help the tax base one way or another, at least by establishing business, and meeting the requirements of a lot of people in this room who'd like to have fine dining and some other things available in this community. So I have 2 things I'd like to address. One, don't let it be more than 3 stories for 48 feet. Number 2, figure out how to turn left off a river road to get to this place.
Thank you.
Going to put a light in.
Hi there, I'm Katie Noble. I live in Dutch Fields as well, and I'm going to be speaking on behalf of Pure Midway tonight. Pure Midway is dedicated to smart growth and open space, and we're a fairly new nonprofit. So we've been spending maybe not as much time as you have, and we wanted to thank you very much for all of your time, and particularly Mike for his endless patience and just even-keeledness throughout the process. I just wanted to say that the population of Provo-Orem is 525,000. The population of Midway is 4,500. Riverwoods does not belong in Midway. Having said that, this is me personally, I do support the Art Center. I think it's a wonderful project. So this isn't about the Art Center, this is about C-4. We think there should be more open space, at least 25% open space, which would be the requirement that they have now in Summit County. I always get so, sorry, horrible public speaker. We think that the density needs to be reduced. We think there should be a 50 to 75 foot buffer zone from the neighbors. We think the height should be limited, probably 35 feet. It's 32 feet in Summit County in commercial right now. It could be larger for one building by conditional use permit. We think that it's critical to limit the building footprint and size of buildings. We think that there should be a Memorial Hill dedication spot that is a requirement, a place for reflection, meditation, and remembering what the hill is all about. We also think there should be points added for amenities that would celebrate Midway's rural heritage, for a Midway History Museum, a farmer's market, farm-to-table restaurant, 4-H club, something along those lines. And this is me personally again, I don't support density reduction on the rest of Main Street. I don't think that that's fair. I think that that needs to be balanced out. It's not fair to take from one and give to the other. My Pure Midway thinks that we need to be thoughtful, careful, and postpone a decision. And in summary, they don't make any more land. We've got to be really careful with this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie.
What's your last name?
Hi, I'm Bob Adams. Wait till I have your attention. I'm Bob Adams, 636 Dutch Valley Court, Midway. I've got some concerns about the process we're using. We're talking about respecting each other, and yet we're limited to only being able to speak for 2 minutes, and only a certain amount of people can speak because we're only going to do this for an hour. It sounds like you don't want to hear from your constituents. I don't know that that's the fact. I'm just saying that's what it appears to many people that are out here. And what I would suggest is we do a town hall format for something like this. It's this significant that this many people care. We could have had a decent crowd here if it hadn't been a graduation night at the school. So just imagine if some people could have. But what I would propose is you have a town hall meeting to discuss all the points on this issue so people can give you their comments and maybe understand better what you're trying to do here. I don't fault the council with looking at the revenues, but I haven't heard anything about a fiscal analysis. I haven't heard anything about the traffic impacts, the walkability or bikeability, how we're going to continue to maintain that for our community. The fire response, I haven't seen an aerial truck in Midway, so I don't know that we can fight a fire that's on a 4th story. And I think that needs to be addressed and at least get some input from the fire, district. I assume that they may have already given you some comments on this, but I don't know. The other thing I was going to comment is when we mentioned earlier that the Visual Architectural Committee, which I sit on here, gets to see some of these things, but by the time we see them, they're already approved. And all we can comment on are the signs and maybe some of the design features of the buildings. But as far as the process or anything, we can't approve a project or say this is a bad project for Midway. We're just asked to look at the architectural and the signage. And with that, so I would encourage the council to either postpone the decision or to continue the public hearing so everyone who wants to speak has an opportunity to speak. And at the very least, if people want to make written comments, so that you leave that period open for another day or so that people can get those comments into. Because I did not come prepared to hand anything in written. So
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Millie Medby. I live at 560 River Road, and I also own the Filler Up Coffee Station. I have my shirt on. First, I want to thank you. I think you have a thankless job in this particular situation for sure, and I think you've all worked very hard. There is a lot of pros and cons on both sides. I'm trying to be even about it. Being a business owner in Midway is hard. If you make it look easy, people think it's easy, but it's not easy, and you can talk to any other business owner. It's hard. And we're grateful for what we have going, and we're pushing forward, but it's not simple, and I am concerned about trying to bring in a lot of new businesses into a completely different part of the city. I sort of refer to it as a mini Midway. I don't think we need another mini Midway. I don't think we need a second ice rink. There's just a lot of duplication. I love the arts. I'm not against an art center, but we have to do things carefully. And so the things I wanted to focus on were, I don't see that there's been a financial analysis where we even know if this thing can fly. Traffic studies. When we moved here almost 25 years ago from Los Angeles, we moved here for all the reasons everybody's talking about, and we live on River Road, and in those days you could be going this way on the street, your neighbor's going this way, you could both put your car in park and have a half-hour conversation. It was awesome. And now I can't sit on my front porch because I can't hear the person I'm trying to talk to, and it's really, really disappointing and sad. You know, there's all kinds of opinions on all of these things, but I do think we need to do a serious traffic study because we've got some big problems. I also think there's going to be a lot of costs we're not considering. There's maintenance of this whole thing. There's a ton of maintenance in the city right now that is just not happening. There's potholes everywhere. Some of them I'm grateful for. I'd actually like a few well-placed ones.
Millie, your time's up, done.
Okay, if you have any more comments? I sent 2 letters already. Okay. But I have a few additional comments. I'll send them to you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Harm David. I live at 125 West, 300 South Midway. As I'm like sitting here listening to you guys, I've been kind of thinking about how long I've been living here and how it's developed over the time. And I moved here about 6.5 years ago, and I live kind of by the hidden church. And I remember when the subdivision wasn't there, and it was just a huge field. And I could go out into the field and chuck rocks at whatever I wanted and have a great time. And I was kind of sad when that subdivision was put in. And around Memorial Hill, with the Olympics, that brought a lot of people in. And then Swiss Days every year attracts people in to look at this beautiful valley. And I think they want to live here for a reason. And I think if you add something into this valley, Provo has Riverwoods for a reason. I don't think that we need another Riverwoods in here because Provo already has one. And if we have something similar to Provo, it's going to take away from Provo and add more to us, and then more people are going to want to live in this valley. And so then we're going to have people from Park City and Provo coming in, and then it's just going to get into like a huge mass. So thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thanks, Ira.